Tough Call Mediation is brought to you by Herb Legal LLP, serving your mediation and freelance paralegal needs in Ontario, New York, Quebec, and throughout North America. Connect to their website today at www.herblawservices.com.
Hello and welcome to Tough Call Mediation. My name is CT Ehler and I'm with my lovely friend Dale Sheldon.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm all right. This is going to be a little bit of a short one today, possibly. This is the beginning of a longer discussion that I don't want to have in just one podcast because this is a huge topic. It's very important right now, and it's called elder mediation. It's part of elder law. And it's trying to be rebranded in certain parts of Canada and the US as intergenerational mediation. So as not to encompass only old people, you know, and it's not meant to encompass only wills and estates, death and dying.
Yeah.
Because we're also talking about living wills or people who become incapacitated. We're also talking about how people end up interacting with their parents as adults, not just as kids. You know, because a lot of things change and there's different dynamics, whether you have siblings or not. You know, there's a lot to contend with, and we have an aging population in North America. And that's a problem. And it's actually a problem that the whole world is experiencing. I don't know about you, Dale, but I've seen a lot of things about promotion of having kids that's slowly entering in the media and whatnot. And it's because we're anticipated to have a massive population decrease, possibly by 1 billion people in the next 20 years.
I mean, is that a bad thing?
But I don't think so. I think it'll be a really good opportunity for a certain nature to regrow and whatnot. Yeah. But for economies, it's not always the best. And also the way we've structured our history and organizational development and economies is that we afford to give pension and old age care and whatnot actually on the taxes of people who are younger. So we're paying for boomers right now. But right now, what exists and what they've seen now is when the boomers die off, the next generation will be Gen Xers, and there's nothing there for them.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a very rude awakening for a lot of Gen Xers who realize that they do not have the same level of enjoyment of life that their parents did. And the thing is I know a lot of boomers, and there's a lot of boomers that do not have the same enjoyment of benefits that the silent and greatest generation had.
Yeah.
Because
not.
There was a lot of opportunity and a lot of changes that happened in our economy, things that happened after World War II. We had a more Keynesian public good type of focus, and our organizational politics and how we grew institutionally throughout North America. But then we all got really greedy and we said, nope, we're not going to care about people. We're just going to care about our bottom line.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of one of the lucky, I'm technically an elder millennial or a zennial.
We're zennials.
Yeah.
I love calling myself a proud zennial because I do not identify with a lot of Gen Xers.
I really don't.
But I do not identify with a lot of millennials either.
See,
so.
I identify a lot more with millennials, like a lot more. But I think it's because I grew up in California and near the Silicon Valley, even though it's really the East Bay. So we were on the online super, super early, which is one of the hallmarks, the millennials grew up with the internet. And I kind of did, even though other people born the same year as me didn't, because I was on so early, like that War Games movie, that we had the dial up. But,
oh yes.
But I'm already, I'm already trying to set myself up as best as I can for retirement, because I know it's going to be hard. It's not going to be anything for us.
Nope. Well, I mean, we could all decide collectively to when we
start doing intentional communities and stuff.
No, that would be great. No, I was going to go darker.
Oh, Soylent Green.
No, did you ever see The Norseman? I think that was the name of the Norwegian dark comedy about Vikings.
I saw a drama called Norsemen about Vikings, but
it's this really dark comedy on Netflix. And what they did with their elderly population when they got to a certain age, they just led them out to the woods toward a cliff and had them jump off.
Okay.
Yeah. And the funny part is that there's a slave who's supposed to leave them and he kind of feels bad for them. So he just kind of leaves them to just hang out in the woods.
A little bit worse, though. Now they're going to slowly starve to death. Better just jump.
You know, we just all collectively agree to go on special skydiving pilot tours without parachutes.
Yeah, that's not going to work for me.
You don't like kamikaze style retirement?
No.
How about
I don't
Old
want
Man
that
in the
many
Sea
seconds
style?
knowing what's happening.
Okay, how about Old Man in the Sea, where you just get on a boat and you just row out into the middle of the ocean?
There's
you just
clearly
let nature take
faster
over.
ways than slowly starving and drowning to death in the middle. I hated that book too, by the way. I had to read that
really?
in junior high. I was like, I'm never reading Hemingway again.
I actually liked that story, and I also liked Of Mice of Men, which is a great segue into the introduction of the Mediators Book Club. Haha. So what I would like to start happening is just posting a book, posting some thoughts, discussing a little bit about it. Listeners, you can write in, a book, an audiobook, something that you want to listen to. We will post from a previous episode from Mike McConnell. So you can go and get The Yoga of Divorce and read that. There's also one from another previous podcast guest, Writing to Reckon, but it's more of an activity workbook that Garrett Bouillon had. But we will have these things in a different section. So you can go in and you can decide resources, not just resources for general public members, but also for mediators. There are a couple of really cool books out there that sometimes work itself into required reading, but there are also book clubs that mediators work on together. And if you're a mediator out there and you're thinking, what book club, what thing have I worked on? We could start a more professional area of it as well. And we can make it more closed or more private for mediators to workshop some of these things. And one of them is one that interested me, Elder Mediation, a new solution to age-old problems. It's by John Birchler. I think I'm pronouncing that correct, PhD, and Patricia Birchler. I'm guessing they're husband-wife team or sister-brother. PCC. And I'm not sure what PCC acronym stands for.
I've never heard that. I don't know.
Pretty competent
Personal
coordinator.
Personal something coach.
Don't know. Anyway, I really liked reading up about it, and then I found a great review, but I'll just tell you that even in Amazon, there's a description. As the population ages and caregiver families and organizations are faced with decisions about quality of life, residential care, financial, medical, and psychosocial needs, Elder Mediation offers a new solution to these age-old problems. A special feature of Elder Mediation, a solution to age-old problems, is the contribution from 18 mediators across the world who bring a global perspective on the mediation field. The book is helpful to professional mediators, mediators in training, and to others who wish to learn more about the niche market of elder care. Chapters include information about conducting a thorough intake, addressing the imbalance of power, the ethics of elder mediation, styles of mediation, and building one's mediation practice. The last chapter offers 55 practical marketing tips for one's mediation business. I was like, that sounds a bit unsavory to me, but I really liked what was said earlier. And there is a range of reviews that I saw. But one of the things that I found really, really interesting was actually one of these reviews in Amazon. And it said this. This is one by Albert Couch, Elder Mediator, book feedback. I have a positive bias here as I have trained the authors in mediation and I've worked with them in the past. But bias aside, I hope that this was an interesting read and that they are breaking new ground in an opportune new area of conflict resolution and family care. As the American population ages, it can only become more and more relevant. And I just thought that I just had to read it because that is so sweet. Your instructor came online and gave her a 5-star review for your book. I love it. so sweet. But there's one other one for those of you who are not mediators that I would like to start as a book club. It's by Joe Levers. It's called Tell Me How This Ends. So the book description I found very interesting, and I will be reading this. It says, can Henrietta find out what happened to Annie's sister before it's too late? Haunted by the past, Henrietta shows herself into a new job transcribing other people's life stories, vowing to stick to the facts and keep emotions at arm's length. But then she meets an eccentric and terminally ill Annie, who finds herself inextricably drawn in. When Annie reveals that her sister drowned in an unexplained circumstance in 1974, Henrietta's methodical mind can't help following the story's loose ends. Unlike Henrietta, Annie is brimming with confidence, but even she has limits when it comes to opening up. Ever since that terrible night when her sister left a pile of clothes beside the canal and vanished, Annie has been afraid to look too closely into the murky depths of her memories. When her attempts to glide over the past come up against Henrietta's determination to fill in the gaps, both women find themselves confronting truths they thought were buried forever, especially when Henrietta's digging unearths a surprising emotional connection between them. Could unlocking Annie's story help Henrietta rewrite the most devastating passages in her own life? And in return, can she offer Annie a final twist in the tale before it's too late?
Sounds good.
I know. It sounds really intriguing. And I thought, okay, well, I kind of want to look and see if there are any reviews. There are actually quite a lot of customer reviews here. And one of the first ones, really short and simple, by Grace R. It's one of the first ones I saw. Just what I needed. I love the characters and love their quirkiness. The story is just right, easy moving, and no killings. Wish there were more like this. And it's true, like as someone who likes true crime, I don't always really need a mystery to be all about murder.
Yeah.
So I think this is a great one for people to explore. I am a huge fan of Kazuo Ishiguro, who explores in his artistry and authorship memory and how it can change and impact us. There's a lot, like The Remains of the Day is still one of my favorite books that turned into a movie with Emma Thompson and Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah.
But many people saw the movie and didn't read the book. And the book is definitely about someone who has retired, who may not remember things as they really were. And certain aspects about certain uncomfortable times and the way certain things happened that may not have been true.
Yeah.
And that is something that comes into elder mediation a lot. I'm new to the elder mediation field. However, as a clinical massage practitioner, I dealt with geriatric populations and dealt with a lot of incapacity issues, and also dealt with people who are contending with death and dying and putting their parents into long-term care facilities, or people self-reporting and putting themselves into long-term care facilities. That was a big deal. So those are the things that we're going to start slowly unpacking with elder mediation. And there's a couple of guests I'll be bringing on later on. But if you know of any issue, if you have a conflict that maybe you might want to write into us about, this is a really big issue. I already assist people through my paralegal and mediation practice, a lot of people who do self-file wills. And one thing I need to really express on behalf of all of the lawyers I referred to, please do not use those free will kits that are out and abundant in the market. Most of them are not legally binding. Most of them are actually inaccurate as per the state or province or territory that you live in. So there are really easy tips that I've already posted in the blog on my legal service practice site, and I will repost it in the Facebook for Tough Call Mediation. I'll put it in my show notes as well. But there's a lot of things to consider because a lot of people only think about, okay, well, I don't really need one because I just got married and I'm just having a baby. Actually, that's the time to write a will. You've taken on an asset if you've bought a house, you've had a kid, you've connected yourself to someone in a marriage. You need to make certain determinations, especially we're living longer. It's no longer about just when you kick the bucket. It's also about how you want to spend your later years, especially in a society that is no longer supporting you. A lot of things to unpack here. And Dale's like, sure. Sounds great. I'm here for it. Well, you're dealing with a couple of things, and, you know, all of our parents and whatnot, as we get older, these are things that we have to think about. And I mean, even just how do you plan on passing? And I am very clear. I'm donating my body to science because I had the privilege of being in 3 different cadaver labs throughout the world. So I saw what a gift it was. And it's so important that we have those for further learning for newer generations of medical care practitioners. Yeah. It's very important. It's a big gift. And then even though I don't have the best regard for chiropractors, there's a few golden ones who I always refer out to still. But for most of them, I don't have any interest in referring them anymore. But I still will donate my body to the Canadian Chiropractic College in Toronto, because what they do is after 2 years, they cremate your body and then they hold a free memorial service. So my family doesn't have to pay for anything. The only thing I've done is I've requested a small amount be set aside to put my ashes into a concrete structure that actually helps with coral building off the Florida Keys. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. Scuba diving has always been one of my most happiest experiences in being in the ocean. So the idea of being able to be a home for fishies with my remains is, I just think it's cool. But people put their ashes in fireworks now. My mom thinks that's appealing. I said, yeah, you can go out with a bang. And she said, yeah, that sounds fun.
Yeah, that's interesting. I kind of like the tree idea.
I have
a little bit.
I'm terrified of being buried alive. I had nightmares of it my whole life, even as a young kid. So the idea of being put in the ground is revolting to me. It's terrifying, even though I know I won't care.
Right.
Like the me that makes me will be gone. But still, just the thought of it full on creeps me out. I don't understand why people still do that. It's like, nope, not for me. Nope. Burn me. Burn my body. And
I'm glad they did, because I can still get DNA off some of those people from genealogy.
Well, I suppose if I was murdered, maybe I'd like my body preserved. But even then, no thanks.
Yeah.
We're getting better at those types of preservation of DNA and whatnot. We can always categorize stuff. I mean, the DNA
Yeah,
is
but you're
on
not going to get it out of ash.
True.
For sure.
True.
Yeah.
No, you've brought up an interesting point. We're on websites now. It's fine.
Yeah, we're fine.
But my biggest...
I already did my DNA test, so I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, there you go. So for an incapacity, there's a lot of... Like, I have a lot of DNRs, but there's different DNRs that you need to consider.
Oh, I never thought about different DNRs.
Pretty much the way that is legally worded right now is, do you want to have any heroic measures? So you can request in your will that no heroic measures will be taken.
What is a heroic measure?
So if you're, let's say you're in a car accident and it's pretty bad, and they've maybe used the paddles and they're working but you're going to need massive blood transfusion. You're going to need operation surgery. You're going to need constant care. You're going to be in the ICU ad infinitum. And you may have periods of brain death, but they're going to still keep trying to keep you alive. Those are considered heroic measures.
Okay.
Whereas suppose, let's say you're in the same car accident, you're conscious, you're in a lot of pain. Maybe you passed out a couple times and maybe you did die briefly and they used paddles.
Defibrillator, yeah.
But the thing is you've had periods of in and out of consciousness. And well, they're not going, oh, well, we're not going to do any more heroic measures. I mean, I know his arm is hanging on by a thread, but, let's just walk away. No. That's not what it means. It definitely has to do with assessing your condition as how long are we keeping this body alive, even though the brain may be gone and there may be no hope of recovery.
Yeah.
And there are people who, yep. I'm like my dad. He's like, yep, I don't care. You're just doing it forever. I was like, really, Dad? You want to be a human vegetable for like 25 plus years? Well, I might make it through. Really? You think lying in a bed like your grandmother did because she was in a hospital bed for the rest of her natural life for easily 15 plus years, pretty much as a vegetable.
Wow.
And he was like, yeah, that's fine. I think that's horrifying.
Yeah.
No,
it would be horrifying if you're conscious. If I'm not conscious, I don't care.
They couldn't tell if she was conscious.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's why you maybe don't take the risk, right?
And in those last few years, she had to be on special monitors and stuff, and they just get she was just there.
Yeah.
Just there. I'm like, take them all off, and if she passes away in her sleep, let it be. Just let her go.
Yeah,
whatever.
It's rough.
Funerals and stuff, I think it's more for the living than it is for the dying.
Oh, of course it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is, again, very much of an intro of a much deeper topic that we'll be bringing up more and more. So we would definitely like to hear your thoughts. And please feel free to write us at toughcallmediation, all one word, at gmail.com. Toughcallmediation, gmail.com. Feel free to like, rate, and subscribe. And have yourself a great week.
Bye.
Bye for now.
You've been listening to Tough Call, a mediation podcast hosted by C.T. Ehler and Dale Sheldon. Please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Discord. This podcast was edited by Jean Sarrazin, with social media and marketing by Jazz Virbati and Hope Ursek. Original music by Ty Ray Lawton. This podcast was sponsored by Herb Legal LLP, where you can find more episodes at www.herblawservices.com. Thank you for listening.